Welcome to your Tilda dashboard. I've put a sample project in here so you can see what it looks like when you've worked with Tilda a little bit. In this short video, I'm going to show you how I got there. So I'm going to show you creating a project, uploading some material to build a new brief and plan and some detail design and implementation material so you can get stuck in as quickly as possible. So when you log into Tilda, you'll see this dashboard. It will be mostly empty because you haven't created much yet, but you click here to create a new project. And I'll show you what the project is eventually going to look like. I've got my Acme AB fake company, and what they wanted to do, they've got a new system they want to implement. They're going to implement Microsoft Dynamics 365. So we've got a big change process that we're going to manage for them and support them with here. And what we're working on now is just a planning phase for this. So you'll see in this project, there's a lot we've done already. I've got a detailed brief here. If I open this up, there's detail in all of this. And then I've got this plan as well that I've been building out, from readiness assessments to capturing baseline KPIs, and inside these we actually have some material. So I've created an invitation email template as well. Lots in here. Let's build it together so you can see what I did. So I'm going to create a new project and I'm just going to replicate that exact project. So let's say V2. I am working in English, choose Swedish if you like, and then I'll click create. Now you have three options when you start a new Tilda project. You can upload something to improve if you've got an existing process that you want to kind of punch up. Upload inspiration for something new, that's the one we're going to be using, or just describe it instead. So you can just talk to Tilda here in the chat box. I'm going to imagine that I've got a brief, an email from a collaborator or a client, and I've got a little bit of research as well that I want to work with. So I'm going to click here and upload some documents. So here I've got research, kickoff email, and project brief that I'm going to upload. You can put up to 15 files at once, up to 25 megabytes each. So I'll pop those in, click done, and then Tilda's going to let you know that it's understood what's in there, review the documents, and give you a little summary of those documents. So then what we're going to do is use this to shape the brief. And yeah, you'll see you have at every point what you call these dynamic buttons. So based on what you're uploading and the conversation you've had with Tilda, these will be different. And these are basically just a quicker way for you to start working in the plan and brief board here, in the project board. So Tilda knows that we need to start building the kind of foundation of this project. So it said draft the current state for me. It's come up with a suggestion for some kind of background information for the brief based on those documents I uploaded. I can click preview to see what it wants to do. So it's got the background here. Acme AB's legacy systems are outdated. That's absolutely right. The target audience is all 600 employees. Yeah, this is all looking good. So I'm going to click apply, and then it'll start to populate this brief here. And it's going to move me forward until I've got that kind of locked in, and then we can start to create the plan. If I want to jump ahead to the plan, I can just do that right away. I can just click here, and then we can start mapping the interventions out. But in this case, I want to make sure we've got the brief sorted first. So let's move ahead to the desired state. Again, I'd love Tilda to draft it for me. I've uploaded quite a bit of information, so we can usually kind of trust it to do this fairly well. Okay, now it might be that like some of these are not quite the goals that we're looking for. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply those for now. and then just say, we have this. We have 80% of users reaching role proficiency within 8 weeks. We're actually looking for 90% of users within 12 weeks, just for example. And then Tilda will make that suggestion. So there we go, 90% of users reaching proficiency within 12 weeks. This is called the handshake. So Tilda would always do a handshake with you before it makes any changes on the board here. So I'll click apply. There you go, it's updated that. And if I click into the brief, 90% of users reaching role proficiency. So it's implemented that in the brief. And actually, maybe I'm ready, I'm itching to kind of get to this plan. So let's move ahead to the plan and start structuring it. So again, maybe I want Tilda to propose a structure. Maybe I want to outline itself. Let's hear some examples. Training, coaching, enablement tools, phased rollout, leadership engagement. So maybe let's start with leadership engagement, driven by a research phase, then use that to define the next steps. So we want to just only stick to the planning phase of the project, if you remember from the example. So there we go. Tilda is thinking. We've just got this one intervention here, so I'm going to apply that. Interviews and workshops with leadership to identify key priorities. Let's add another phase. Let's see what Tilda's going to suggest now. A stakeholder alignment play, a pilot planning phase. Let's add that in once we've got a little bit of data from those interviews and workshops. And it's suggesting a small-scale pilot to test Dynamics 365. Brilliant. And what you can see here, this is what we call the behavior change score, which uses research in behavioral science to analyze the interventions you have on how likely you are to affect behavior change within this initiative and within your organization. So because we've added a pilot there, we've added something very practical, very action oriented, that's going to increase the behavior change score, because that's one of the ways in which we can make things more impactful from a behavior change perspective. And in fact, if you want to improve the behavior change score for an entire initiative, by which I mean making it more impactful for behavior change, there's a button down here called Improve Initiative. So we can click that, and Tilda will come up with some suggestions for how it can change behavior more effectively. So we'll see here we've got a bunch of different things based on Tilda's research. So adding peer support groups or buddy systems, instant feedback mechanisms. It's going to refine those objectives. So a bunch of stuff in there. You can look through them and apply the ones you want to. I'm just going to apply them all for now. The two final things I want to show you, and I think you're probably ready to get stuck in now, is detailed design within an intervention. So let's say we're going to work on these peer-led support groups. I open it up here, open intervention. Now, this intervention has this basic brief, so it's got the objective and the key topics that we built when we were back up in the main planning section. So I'm going to move into here, and now these are group discussions, so I want to build a step-by-step draft. I'm going to let Tilda go ahead and build something based on what it knows about our goals for this intervention. Okay, so we've got here a 5-minute briefing, sharing the pilot experiences, some sharing of problem solving common challenges, a kind of brainstorming session, then a bit of reflection and a wrap up. So I could go in here either editing individual titles or objectives, or if I click this magic 1 button here, that will lock Tilda to edit that specific step, and then I can chat with her as normal. Or I can delete and move things around if I want to. And then the final thing I want to show you is creating material. So for each of these steps, we might need a different type of material. So let's see what Tilda's suggesting here. For the welcome, we might want an opening script. So I can create one of those. Or for this entire intervention, I might want to create a design document. Here we go, a facilitation training guide, a feedback form for group effectiveness. So I can either choose one of these dynamic suggestions here from Tilda or tell it what I need. And then Tilda will go away and do a first draft of this. So we've got kind of a preparation that facilitators need, step by step during the session, post-session follow-up. So again, I can either edit directly in here or work with Tilda to update it. And then when I'm ready to share, I can export it as a PDF. Okay, that's a kind of whistle-stop tour through how you build your first project in Tilda. I will delete this V2 and I'll leave this original one in here. So I'm just going to run one final improve initiative, so you'll have that in there when you land. And let's see what Tilda suggests to this more comprehensive plan. So again, it's adding peer support networks, regular town halls from leadership to reinforce commitment, and a bunch of other things there. I'm not going to apply them right now, but just wanted you to see the kind of thing that Tilda recommends. So I'm just going to skip that and leave you with that. Good luck. If you have any questions, just reach out to one of the team and we'd be super happy to jump in and help you figure out any gremlins you're finding or work with Tilda more effectively for your specific use cases. Have fun.